up, people? It's your guy, your main guy, the one, the only, Professor R. And this is another video called A Man's Guide to Success. Today, I want to share some information that Professor R, which is me, want to share with you. The thing I want to share is that encounters. Now, how do we encounter things? Through actions, through words, through people. Here's what I want you to know. To find that actual someone through an encounter. The way you do this is that you, as a man or a woman, got to have an experience with other people. Now, the way we do that is that we got to realize that as a people, we got to treat each other better through our actions and through our words. Now, what I mean is conversation. We got to know what the next individual man or woman is capable of talking about. We got to assess it. The way you assess it is how you listen to the next human being or the next person. Now, a lot of the times we may not know how to do that. So here's a tip. Always stand close. Always get close to whoever's talking. Now, a lot of the times we may say, well, that's easy said than done. No, it's actually easy. All you do, sit down and you talk about things that you normally don't talk about. That's how you experience an encounter. And whatever you're taking into account, remember, always listen closely. Remember, details is key. Whatever that's being said in that detail, always try to find out what is being said in that detail. Whatever that moment may be, whatever it may look like for you. Remember, always listen to the details. Another tip, always get focused on the energy. Energy is very positive when it comes to encounters. Whatever energy you're giving, if the energy is going to be received. So whatever you're giving is going to be received. Whatever you're giving is going to be received. Try to understand who the next person is and why they're giving out that type of energy. And sometimes we forget that we give different energies off. We give different energies. So for you to give that energy, you're entertaining that. A lot of times we entertain things. We entertain things because that's what we do as people. Whatever you're entertaining, don't entertain it for too long. Maybe like 5 or 10 minutes, you may entertain it, but you got to remember, whatever you're entertain it only for a certain period of time. A lot of times we entertain things is because we think we know what's going on, and we really don't. So only entertain it for maybe 5-10 minutes, and then reflect on it. Reflection. How do you reflect? You reflect off of whatever your thoughts are doing. A lot of people reflect. What they do, they don't really talk about what they reflect on. So write down what are you reflecting on. The main thing is reflect on what it is you're talking about. Go back and think what that conversation was all about. What did you share in that conversation? What did you give to the other one you're talking to? What did you add to that? Sometimes as men, we need to add a little more substance or value to the conversation. It depends on who you're talking to and why you're talking to them. Sometimes you have to give rather than take. Then you take only when it's necessary. You only take a small amount and you use that not for your gain, but to educate yourself on who you're talking to. Another thing that I've learned about talking to others. Man, remember, when you're talking to a stranger, especially a woman who you never met, always talk with resolution. Always try to resolve what it is you're trying to do. For example, if she is talking about how she spent her day, let her talk about it. Let her just hear it. Man, just listen. You don't have to stand there and figure out what she's trying to do. Just listen. Just hear how she's talking about her day, because she may add something to that, and then she may give you some insight, so you may resolve it by what she's adding to that conversation. Another thing, find a good conversation starter. What I mean is, try to talk about something she's not used to talking about. Then go back and replay it consistently in your mind. Man, is that something I should have talked about? Man, it's not something I should have addressed. Maybe I shouldn't have talked about that. Women like when men talk about things that they are interested in. Find your interests. Another way that a man can pursue or get the woman of his dreams is to find what's interesting to her. Whatever she's talking about, make it interesting. Make it something she's not used to talking about. Ask a few questions. What do you do? Where do you travel to? Do you travel? Do you like traveling? What sign are you? Sometimes it's good to ask these things. What sign are you? That's not a normal conversation starter, but it works. It's very effective when it comes to women. Women like to hear about themselves. Like, do you normally talk about yourself? Where do you normally travel to? They may say Africa. If she went to Africa, that's an interesting conversation right there. That's something to talk about, because you're trying to get to the bottom of what the conversation is about. Find the root cause of that conversation. What I mean by root, get to the bottom of what the conversation is started with. Whatever the conversation started with, recircle that conversation. Get back into it, recircle it, refine it, and then find out what it is that conversation has started with in the beginning. Once you do that, gentlemen, you have just opened another doorway to another conversation. You want conversation beyond conversation. So let me say, holding a conversation is about something that you can use, something you can say, something that you can do. A lot of men have a hard time holding a conversation because, number one, you don't know what she's thinking about. Number two, you're trying to understand how her mind works. And number three, as a man, you wanna get into it. That's why a lot of men are not successful at finding the right one or a soulmate. You're trying to find a soulmate. Now, how does this work? Let's start with Adam and Eve. In the beginning, Adam and Eve, right? How did he have a soulmate? She came from him, from his rib, right? The right side. So he had a soulmate. The way he did that was the Lord pulled out of his rib a woman. He called her woman because it was a name that was given to her. Then he named her. The name was Eve, but that was a soulmate because they did everything together. Sometimes doing things together is very, very helpful when it comes to someone you just met, especially a woman. Fellas, it's very important. You spend as much time thinking about your words and how you apply it to the conversation. She may not be interested, but she is listening to you. That's how a woman knows the type of man she's desiring, because she's listening, and you have to listen. Stop talking. Don't over talk. Let her say something, because women like to talk about things. So whatever you're doing, just let her talk. The more you let her talk, the easier it is for you to know exactly what it is she wants to talk about. Another thing that I learned, that men, be yourself. Treat yourself with the utmost courtesy and treat her with courtesy. Let me tell you, a 5-4 minute pause, it goes a long way. It goes a long way. Why? Because now she can add input to the conversation. Stop, pause, listen. Stop, pause, listen. Then input. Stop, pause, listen, input. Trust me, it goes a long way. Stop, pause, listen, input. I've learned this as a man, that stop, pause, listen, input. Someone once shared that. Stop, pause, listen, input. Stop, pause, listen, input. Repeat that to yourself a couple of times. Stop, pause, listen, input. Stop, pause, listen, input. Repeat it, and then you go apply it. to the conversation. Watch how much information she gives you just by you stop, pause, listen, input. Because it works. Let me share this last and final point. Remember, guys, you don't need that much to spend on a particular woman. Whatever she desires or wherever she wants to choose a place where you both can have fun and eat at the same time. There are places you can do that. There are places you can go bowling. You can go to a place where there's a lot of games, where other people are there. Trust me, it works. Try it. Until next time, this is Professor R with a man's guide to success. I see you in the next video. Subscribe, comment, support, and like. If you want to add something to it, please give me a comment on how you feel these videos are going. Until next time, see you in the next video. Stay blessed.